You see, that's what you get on dark web. Jesus Christ, that is so sick. I just realized that we have the same name. Alexander Nathan Barter was born on December 18th, 1996 in Joaquin, Texas. So as a kid, he moved like several times all around the states, and finally he decided to sell. I mean, his parents decided to sell in 2009. Guess where? In Joaquin, Texas. So I guess home sweet home, right? So apparently he was very talented when it comes to computers and, you know, the things that I don't know anything about because it's tech related. So let's just say he was some kind of tech genius. So one piece of information that I'm not completely sure about, and it doesn't make sense at all, is the information that he actually started a company in 2000 and let me just find it, 5. So that would mean that he started a company when he was 9. So in some sick way that would make him like some kind of tech prodigy. So I'm not completely sure if that information is correct, but if it is correct, then Jesus Christ. Anyway, he was some kind of developer and he created a couple of softwares, operational systems and things like that. Of course, since this is computers we're talking about, every year a kind of update is needed, so he was able to create update for one company, then update for another, and year after year he was like printing companies like a piece of papers. So logically that amount of work, if we take into consideration that he was still a kid relatively, put tremendous amount of pressure on his tiny little shoulders. So in 2012 he was actually diagnosed with clinical depression. So he was pretty beat up. Let's just leave it at that. There were signs that his depression was like inclining. So it was all good. He earned a lot of money. He was, you know, going into the right direction, and he was generally, yeah, very, let's say, happy kid. Not. He was and still is a very sick person. So he started visiting some very bad forums, and one of the things he started visiting is actually dark web. So for you guys that don't know, that's like really scary side of internet. Alright, so he started exploring dark web, and because of his still present depression, he started having some pretty messed up thoughts in his sick head and pretty disturbing things, you know. He was imagining some pretty messed up stuff, to say the least. And logically, when all this compiled, he decided to place one ad on some dark web page. So I don't know what the name of the page was, but essentially he was looking for someone. Prepare for this, because from now on, from this moment, the things are going to get really sick. So he was looking for someone to commit cannibalism and necrophilia. Jesus Christ. So a kid. Just imagine that. So in his ad, basically he was looking for someone who was willing to let him do that. And another good opportunity for me here. This reminds me of Armin Meiwes and Bernd Brandes kind of story. So again, if you want to check that out, check out the other channel. I don't know if this is like happy circumstances or something, but we actually have his ad. So I'm going to read now what he wrote. So little Alex, Jesus, I'm still sick just pronouncing his name. He said, "If you'd be willing to let me kill you, are in the US, preferably in the South, and can travel by car, contact me. So imagine just exploring one day on the internet and find out the ad, if you're willing to let me kill you. I mean, on the normal internet, if we can consider anything normal on the basic surface of the web today, that would be kind of what the hell is this? But on dark web, they're just like kind of routine normal day in the office. So after some time, he got a spark in his eyes, literally, because he got a response. And one person actually responded to the mentioned ad and said, yeah, I'm willing to, not personally do that, but I have someone that can, serve the purpose. And that guy actually said, I'm prepared to sacrifice my daughter. So this guy, Alexander, was like very ecstatic about it. I mean, if that is correct word. When you're so happy that you just can't hold it together. And he immediately responded, and his first two questions were, can we kill her, and how old is she? So the guy responded, yeah, of course, she's 13. And that was like the dreams were coming true for this sick little bastard. However, there is one very important fact here, and this little prick didn't know about it. That guy who was willing to sacrifice his daughter was actually an undercover agent, and he was part of some group that was like operating in some kind of sting operation on dark web, catching sick minds like this kid. Over the next 10 days, they spent like messaging each other on email and sending each other like some really graphic stuff. Obviously, the agent was sending material to try to catch him in the act, and the kid was like just fulfilling all his fantasies. So basically what he wanted to do with the child was this: he was planning to take her life, he was planning to violate her body, in translation, to have intercourse with her corpse, Jesus Christ, and then he was planning to eat her. Can it get sicker than this? And the worst part is, he actually said, I'm not going to back down, I'm really, really ready to do this, are you ready? So those are the words that he actually directly said to the undercover agent. He was planning this to the tiniest detail, so he also got the instructions to the undercover agent what to do. So the plan was that the agent tell his daughter that they're going hiking or camping, something like that, and then they will meet in some kind of hotel, and they will kill her together, and then he would perform his sick urges on her body, and then he would eat her, and he would pack the remains in some kind of bags, and they would throw the bags in some woods or something. So he got the instructions to the undercover agent that he buys actually a burner phone and some new clothes. So they would like minimize their chances of getting caught. So all this time he was like developing this perfect plan in his head, how he should and would execute the whole thing, and with the help, of course, from the guy who is willing to sacrifice his daughter, and not knowing that this is going to be his end. After weeks of messaging, they finally decided to, set up the meeting and get this over with. So the meeting was planned on October 18th, and Alexander was correct on the dot, so he was on the spot. But problem for him. As soon he arrived, the cops were waiting and they were ready, and they easily overpowered him, and because he was just like a skinny kid, and of course handcuffed him. I'm sorry, it was October 19th 2018, right? With him they found a trash bag, a knife, a burner cell phone, and a tablet with some very, very disturbing things. So over 600 photographs of child, you know what. And he later admitted that he constantly exchanged those kind of photos with some other users on dark web. So this kid was into some really, really sick, perverted things. And I think there is one piece of information that said, and he actually said this: thank God you got me, because I just couldn't, I couldn't resist the urge. The kid was arrested, got 40 years in prison, and I think he is eligible. Here we go again. He's eligible. Is that the word? What is with my language today, man? I just suck today. Maybe it's because it's 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock and I just had a coffee and I need to record this because, I'm late. So I'm sorry. He will be eligible. Let's just go with that word. He will be eligible for parole in 2060. So, but under strict kind of rules. So he would have some kind of supervision, and he would have to go and be registered and some kind of offender. If that urge is still there, after all this time, I don't know, man. This kid just doesn't belong in general public. And I'm probably not the only one that thinks that. And actually, Special Agent Mark Dawson, who, worked on the case, said this. In my 23-year career in law enforcement, this is among the most morally depraved criminal conspiracies that I have ever come across. So when you hear something like this from the guy who actually has over 20 years of experience, this should actually mean something. So I'm not making things up. This is a really heavy one. Let's try to break some psychology for the end. Alright, before I start to ramble anything, I just want to make disclaimer that I'm not a specialist of any kind when the psychology and other things are in question. So this is just my amateur, casual detective's opinion on this guy, on this kid. From my understanding, what I know about that mental state and that depraved thinking is the fact that cannibalists often, seek the urge to eat somebody because they want to transfer some of the good stuff from the people they ate into them, because they believe, if the guy was super, let's just take for example super strong, so let's take for example me, so little humbleness, Alex. If somebody wanted to eat me, let's just say hypothetically, he would assume maybe I would gain some of his strength, and let's just go back to the case of Armin Maivis and Bernd Brandes. So Armin was a very lonely guy, and he was looking for someone to basically be part of him for his entire life until the day he died. And Brandes, as you guys now know, was willing to sacrifice himself because he had enough of this life and he wanted to, give his guy a final wish come true. But when this kid is in question, and there is just one part, so I just took one fraction of entire cannibalism thing that those people who perform these atrocities hope for. So when I look at this kid, I cannot conclude what he would gain from a 13-year-old child, you know. So there's obviously nothing to gain from that, speaking about some values getting transferred. So that was just pure sadistic kind of thinking there. So he was just genuinely interested to know the feeling. And that is the part I forgot to mention in his ad, because he actually said, I really want to find out what is the feeling to take someone's life and basically, you know, eat them. Disgusting. Really disgusting. So the second thing I, you know, think about this kid is that his entire life from the beginning influenced the way he formed his complete being. So imagine being, so I don't know if he was actually in his room and he was doing all the work from some kind of little dark room with nobody around. Maybe he, you know, got an office with some colleagues or something, but I very much doubt. So I think this kid was like super level of introversy. So he was alone, he didn't have any friends, obviously. And you know, over the time when you're so alone, you tend to, you know, get off the right track. So he started visiting dark web because he was a developer, you know. He thought that he had all figured out. So he was a developer, he had all secret codes, he was hacker. So his thinking was, I cannot be caught, so nobody can track me, I cannot be caught, I can do whatever I want. So he sent like disgusting images to other users, they sent disgusting images to him, and then he was so cocky that he posted an ad looking for someone to, you know, stab him, kill him, and then, you know, the rest. But the point is that that kind of life led in some small fraction even to his behavior. And I don't know what else. Maybe he was just born that way. Maybe he was just born sick. But it's definitely not normal, even in these unnormal times. For some kid, I mean, he's born in 1996, so he's like, what, 27 or something, 26, 27 right now. So he's not a kid anymore. He's a full grown ass man. So to think in that kind of manner in those ages, I mean, that is really disturbing. And obviously when he was arrested, he said, I could, you know, it's a good thing that you caught me because I just couldn't stop doing what I was imagining. And one good thing about this whole case is that it didn't actually happen. So the police reacted on time. Thank God that was the outcome, because who knows what this could be turned into if he succeeded in his initial plan. So if he succeeded, let's just take that for example. If he succeeded, God knows, you know, if he finally got that feeling that he was so desperate to feel, only God knows that he couldn't just stop on one person. I mean, it's scary just to think how many people potentially would be actually, you know, hurt if this guy succeeded. I mean, like I said, just one more time, look at his face. On this image, like he's with a friend or something, he just looked just like a casual kid, you know, who is skating on Fridays and, I don't know, hangs up in park with the friends and tells jokes on Saturdays. I don't know, I'm rambling stupid things right now, but the point is, I mean, yeah, on the second picture he looks like, and he creeps me the out, you know. And I talked with Debbie a little bit about this case, and her initial impression when she saw the image was, yeah, he looks like he was some kind of inbreed or something. I mean, look at this face. So obviously there are pictures of him where he seems normal, and there are some pictures that, you know, he seems like there is something really, you know, off with this guy, with this kid. So for example, take a look at this image. So this is like an image that, a normal image, but I just have a feeling that something is wrong with this guy. You know, I always say this. It's the eyes, man. It's the eyes. Just look at his eyes and you will just know. You don't have to even speak one word with a kid. You just know, just looking at him, you know something is off. Something is wrong. Something is definitely not right with this kid. And you just know that, just looking at him. And like I said at the beginning, he had all the, you know, all the segments, all the parts to become successful, because obviously he wasn't stupid. He was really talented when it came to tech and computer stuff. But is it the sickness? Is it the I can't say curiosity, because, you know, the person can be curious about some things that doesn't include, you know, having intercourse with corpses and eating them. But yeah, it's hard to imagine that people like this exist, and they do, and they're right there beside you, and you don't know. Maybe you walked past by them today, yesterday, tomorrow. Who knows? But they're out there and they exist. Once again, is it a sickness? Is it the fact that he was just born this way? Is it the fact that his early life led to forming this kind of depraved personality, or something else? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think about this whole messed up case. I said it again. Messed up case. Nothing to add really, because it's now almost 11 o'clock and I'm dead. I'll see you in the new one. That's all I got.